If you track the DNA of the modern horror film, from Alfred Hitchcock's most stylish set pieces to the massive explosion of American slashers in the 1980s, the trail leads to Italy. Specifically, it leads to the giallo genre, built on garish neon colors, high-fashion settings, and killers characterized by signature black leather gloves. For decades, director Mario Bava and his 1964 masterpiece, Blood and Black Lace, have occupied the spot of the movement's undisputed origin point. But the architectural blueprint for this iconic Italian genre is actually located outside of Rome. To find the real source, we must look to 1958 Stockholm, a place defined by the stark black-and-white cinematic realism of Ingmar Bergman. The true pioneer of color-drenched horror was actually a forgotten Swedish director named Arne Mattsson, operating in the middle of cinema's bleakest landscape. In 1958, Mattsson released Mannequin in Red. It was the second installment in the Hillman series, a string of popular mysteries following a detective couple through various cases. Mattsson abandoned the traditional Swedish black-and-white palette for this project, utilizing vibrant, highly saturated Eastman color. He set the mystery inside La Femme, an exclusive fashion house defined by chandeliers, couture gowns, and rigid social hierarchies. The plot involves a blackmail scheme and hidden motives among the elite, forcing Detective Kaisa Hillman to infiltrate the house as an undercover model. By placing murder inside this artificially perfect, hyper-colorful fashion house, Mattsson's visuals turned the standard procedural into a visceral, aesthetic spectacle. Mattsson used the color red to signal both passion and impending death throughout the film. He used these aggressive pops of crimson to punctuate the otherwise sterile, rigid interiors of the fashion house. This aesthetic friction introduces the concept of organic surrealism, the systematic objectification of the female form. The film deliberately blurs the visual line between the living women of the house and the inanimate shop mannequins. When the camera focuses on a murder victim, it treats her body identical to these mannequins, stripping away her humanity. This transition from living flesh to inanimate object provided the dehumanizing visual backbone for the entire global slasher genre. Historical evidence connecting this Swedish film to the Italian boom is overwhelming. The similarities are far too specific to be coincidental. Bava's later work replicates Mattsson's specific narrative elements, including the blackmailer's notebook, red mannequins as omens, and the black-gloved killer. Mario Bava forensically lifted the defining traits of the giallo from Mattsson's commercial Swedish thriller. Despite his commercial peak in the 1950s, Arne Mattsson's career eventually took a tragic turn. He spent his later decades directing cheap, globally co-produced exploitation films and straight-to-video action movies with stars like David Carradine. This late career decline caused the Swedish critical establishment to dismiss his earlier aesthetic innovations, treating them as mere pulp. However, the evidence inside Mannequin in Red proves Mattsson was pioneering these techniques years before the Italian boom began. Genre evolution is rarely a series of isolated national movements. It is a constantly cross-pollinating global conversation, fueled by stolen ideas. Arne Mattsson's masterpiece remains the unsung Crimson Prism, through which decades of international thriller cinema would eventually